If we flip over to the SPY, we can see that on the SPY, we have had multiple up days in a row. Look at this, guys. 5 up days in a row on the S&P 500. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That has a very rare occurrence of occurring in the market where the markets have gained this much. All right, if you look at probabilities, the amount of times the S&P has gained 5%, probabilities dictate you should have at least a 0.8% or just under 1% retrace this week. Now, we could still touch this level, so we have a couple levels here. So you saw this upsloping trend line. We cut right through it on Friday, blew right through it. But we knew we had additional levels of resistance, one being a gap fill here. All right, secondarily, if we zoom out on the chart real quick, we can see we have this level right here from this pivot low to this pivot low to this high to these highs. So we have gap fill there. That's all coexisting right around that level. In addition, we have high pivot to high pivot to high pivot, and that just comes in a hair above that same level. So the idea here is that as a technician, as a chart guru, I say, okay, what are probabilities here? Well, there is still a small probability that we could go up a little bit higher here or up to here, right? So you're looking at risk. Right now, pre-market, I think last I checked, we were trading at 435.50, give or take, on the SPY. So you could get as high as 440. So you're risking to the upside here. You're risking about $4.50 of upside risk if you're looking to short, right? So $4.50, $4.5. On a pullback, right, if we look at a pullback on this market, you're looking for a retrace, let's say even a 0.382 Fibonacci retrace, somewhere in this level, you should be looking for something around 428. That would be your at minimum retrace on this. And that gets you about $6 to $7 to the downside. So now how do I trade this? Let's talk real world here. How is Gareth 𝗖𝗽𝗶𝘁𝗍𝗃 going to trade this short opportunity? So on Friday, I started to accumulate a little bit on the short side in the market, right? S&P, NASDAQ, etc. And what I'm going to do is I did a little bit. So I did essentially 1/4, okay? I started with a 1/4 share size entry price, okay? And again, that was right in this range right here. I'll add a second 1/4 here, right at that first dual trend line. And then if we get up here, I'll add my final 1/2 position, right? So 1/4 there, and that would be a half position, and then the other half there. That would bring my average right up in here on the overall position size. And by doing that, now I've cut my risk down, right? So my stop can be maintained just above here based on confirmation. So now, not only, remember we talked about 435-ish right now. Let's say my average is 438. The max upside is 440. Anything above 440 confirmed, I stop out. So now I've minimized my risk down to about $2 on the SPY, while netting, if we get up there, a move all the way back to 428. That's about a $10 move to the downside. Now my risk reward really looks exceptionally good. All right, and that's the key, right? It's all about analyzing risk reward and maneuvering so that you're able to maneuver your dollar cost average into the levels that you think. Now, what we know is that probabilities based on history, and I'm looking at history here, when you have 5 up days in a row that net you over 5% on the S&P, the probabilities dictate at least a 0.8+% pullback. So again, probabilities on my side, I've gone to the extent of figuring out that if right here it pulls back, okay, I make money, maybe not as much as I would, but if we go up here, I kind of dollar cost average in, we get our, let's say, 1% pullback, boom, I knock it out of the park on a trade right there. And again, this is the stuff that I'm constantly doing. I'm not saying, oh, I think the market is going to crash this week. I think it's going to do this. That doesn't matter. What I think does not matter. It's what the charts are showing us and what the probabilities are showing us. So, as a test, let's find out. It's Monday. By Friday, have we pulled back a little bit on the markets? Let's see. Do we go up a little higher? I've basically given you my game plan of how I intend to trade this. Let's find out how I do. Let's check back in on Friday and decide, did Gareth make the right decision? Did the probabilities, more importantly, play out? And I want to be clear. They don't always play out. That's the way probabilities work. But more often than not, they do. And that's all I care about. I just want to be putting my bets always on the side that more often than not are going to win. Yeah, they're not going to always win, but more often than not, they will.